Welcome back. Chapter 14. Compared to Garrett, Kansas, Van Buren, Arkansas was New York City. There were stores, hotels, and of course saloons. The air was full of the sound of hammers and handsaws. There was lots of building going on. They stopped near a very handsome courthouse. It was the kind of building Etta liked, not flashy but beautiful in a simple way. There was an impressive clock tower. I bet Cornelia could design something like this for Garrett, and maybe it wouldn't be torn down, she thought. She was so absorbed in the building that she hadn't noticed that they were surrounded by pigs. At first, she was startled, but then realized it made 19th century sense. Why waste a good feeding area like the courthouse lawn? Max had dismounted and was holding up his arms to help her down, but there was a pig nuzzling her foot. He looked at it. If you knew what she does to creatures like you, you'd run for your life. As though the animal understood, it ran away, squealing loudly in fear. You are so not funny, she said as she slid down into his arms. But honest. He led them straight to a stone building with a high roof. There was a man sitting nearby under a shade tree, a rifle over his shoulders. They kept walking. How did you know where the jail was? She asked Max. I asked Rufus. He had an interesting youth, so I figured he'd know where the Van Buren jail was. They got to the far end of the jail by going around a couple of other buildings. Along the side was a little window, but it was higher than Etta's head. Max muscled a full rain barrel to under the window, then lifted her up. She had to stand with her legs wide apart, her feet on the rims. It was a precarious balance, but Max put a steadying hand on her ankle. As soon as she was up to the window level, she drew back. The smell was awful. She knew that 10 men were locked inside one cell with a bucket in the corner. Seemed that it hadn't been emptied in a while. Mr. Earp, she said as loudly as she dared. It was dark in the cell, and it took moments for her eyes to adjust. A man's face appeared at her level, so he must have been standing on the bed frame. Etta tried to stay calm, but she knew she was looking at Wyatt Earp. Legendary man, movies, TV, books would be written about him. He was a handsome young man, but she knew from photos that he would look better as he aged. Is that fair? She wondered. Who are you? Nice voice, Etta thought fast. I'm Urilla's cousin. Urilla was his late wife, Etta's almost namesake. And I want to say that I love ice cream too. A man was standing behind Mr. Earp. She lowered her voice. Is that John Schoen? The man who was blaming you for everything? It is. He cocked his head to one side. You seem to know a lot about my business. She kept her voice low. I don't think you stole those horses. His wife lied about you on the stand under oath. Wyatt leaned forward. Anna and I didn't exactly tell him the truth about some other things, so maybe I deserved it. Is that saying that him and Anna was creeping? What he said wasn't at all the modern philosophy of blaming others for any bad that happened. It was so good to hear, and she smiled broadly. I'm here to help you escape. Go to the corner and pry off the ceiling, then hoist yourself up. Crawl across the rafters in the attic until you come to a small window. Max and I will be there to help you get down. Who is Max? My husband. He nodded towards her shirt. And here I thought, those birds flew you down from heaven. What a nice thing to say. Actually, ew. Max had abruptly pulled her down to the ground. His look said what he was thinking. Keep it to business. When he took off walking, she ran to keep up with him. They stopped at the back of the building. High up was a small window. I guess that's it, she said. You mean the one with the bars across it? The one no adults could get through? Yes. We have to remove some stones to widen the space. The question is, how do we get up on the roof? She looked at the building next to them. We can go up that way. I think we can make it if we step on the windowsills. It won't be easy, but we can do it. Then we can leap across the roof. We can. Max was gone. Her first thought was, he was so jealous that he left me? Or was he just fed up with all of my difficulties? She didn't blame him if he walked out. He could. Max came around the corner with a tall ladder and 2 ropes coiled around his shoulder. He said, who? Jumping from building to building. Or we can climb up. With all the construction around here, I figured one had to be close. On impulse, she grabbed him and kissed him. He stroked her hair. You didn't think I'd abandoned you, did you? Well, I did think. He pushed her away with a grimace. Go. She scurried up the ladder. As soon as Max was on the roof, he went to the chimney and gave it a good kick. When it didn't fall apart, he tied a rope around it. Then, to Etta's horror, with one end of the rope, he started tying what looked like a hangsman noose. You aren't going to... Max looked at her with angry eyes. What have I done to deserve this? He held up the rope, then slipped his foot in the loose end. After all the things I've done for you, you still mistrust me? Sorry, I apologize. She kissed his cheek. That's better. He yanked the rope, then walked backwards and began lowering himself down. When his face was at the roof line, he said, and just so you know, I think you look really pretty in that shirt and out of it. Thank you. What a fine time to flirt. He slipped down out of sight. Etta stretched out on her stomach and looked over the side of the building. Max was standing with one foot in the rope loop in front of the little barred window. Out of the back of his shirt, he pulled one of those decorative iron sticks that Pat had made. It looked like he brought it with him. She watched as Max pried out a stone from around the window. It fell down. Unfortunately, it hit one of the curious pigs and it ran away squealing and then set off the other pigs. Etta made a frantic gesture for Max to come back up. That much noise might alert someone. But Max stayed where he was. As she feared, the guard they seen sitting under the tree came to see what the noise was about. All he had to do was look up and he'd see Max. Get the hell out here, he yelled at the pigs and began kicking at them. One of the big boys didn't like that, so he rammed the man in the back of his legs. Etta's eyes widened. She heard too many stories of men falling into pig pens. They didn't get out. But this man didn't fall. Instead, he chased the big boar, yelling that he was going to kill it. When it was quiet again, Etta looked back at Max. He was removing more stones. Minutes later, she heard Wyatt Earp's voice. Who are you? Urilla's cousin's husband. We practically family. Reckon so, Wyatt said. Max slipped the coil rope from around his shoulders and pushed it through the bars. Can you tie this up and get yourself down? I can. I sure want to thank you for this, and I especially want to thank your wife. Max smiled. Not if you want to keep living. That I do. There was humor in Wyatt's voice. Max pulled himself up, using the rope to climb in a way that a gymnast would envy. At the top, he stretched out on his stomach beside Etta to watch the men escape. Wyatt came out first. When he got to the ground, he turned back to look up at the two of them peering over the roof. He put his hand to his mouth, kissed it vigorously, then threw the kiss to Etta. She lifted her arms, caught it, and started to put her hand to her mouth, but Max's look made her put her hand to her cheek. I know that's right. Even blown kisses don't. Max don't play. On the ground, they heard Wyatt's laughter as he ran away. Max was looking at Etta in disgust, but she just shrugged. So sue me. He looked back at the ground. There were several men coming down the rope. Who are they? I don't know which is which, but that one is John Schoen, who's Yeah, got it. His wife played with your man, then she lied on the stand to protect her marriage. You're very clever to have figured that out. I wasn't even smart until I married a mysterious woman. Since then, I've spent my life trying to figure out what is going on and what I'm doing. I gave up thinking about the why. Etta suppressed her laughter as they looked at the men going down the rope. Two of them are the Perry brothers, in for counterfeiting and attempting to murder a deputy marshal. The other two were supposed to hang for murder. So you did want me to help you save murderers. I'm sure that now they're becoming upstanding citizens and be productive members of society, or politicians, which is one step up from murderers. He got it. We better get out of here. When they find that rope, they'll know someone helped them. Oh, the blankets. They were supposed to use a rope made of blankets to escape. This will change everything. Oh hell. To her surprise, Max went down the rope again. As she watched, she was very nervous. This wasn't part of the story. What if a guard saw that 7 of the 10 men in the hideous cell were gone? They could find Max. They could. He came back up. His second rope, the one the men had rappelled down, was coiled about his shoulders. They'll just have to guess how the men got out. She couldn't help throwing her arms around his chest. She was so relieved that he was all right. Come on, he said softly as he peeled her arms away. Let's get out of here before some hogs decides that ladder is good to eat. I don't want to have to jump across the building. She knew he was referring to her original plan. Remember that hot bath I promised you? I bet we can find it in this big city. And let's get you some new clothes so I don't have to wash them every night. You are so good to me. You take such good care of me. He half set her on the top rung of the ladder. She quit talking and climbed down. I know that's right. He's like, I know you love me. Let's go. Etta was standing on a train platform waiting for Max to meet her. At her feet were 4 suitcases, or portmanteaus, as someone called them. She was wearing a green dress, so fashionable that Alice was going to be impressed. As always, Max had taken care of everything. After they left the jail, he checked them into the finest hotel Van Buren had to offer. The quality was a great deal better than their previous hotel. This one was decorated in Victorian garish, red flocked wallpaper, heavy, dark furniture, gaslit glass fixtures on the walls. As a bellman carried their saddle bags and canvas sacks up to their lovely room, Etta whispered, I like the other hotel better. Me too, Max replied. When they were alone, she turned to him. Now what? Some poor overworked, underprivileged serf carries up our bathwater? He hesitated. She sensed that he had something serious to say. He took a breath. I have things to do, and we're going back on the train. She had to translate that in her mind. Things to do? You're dumping me here on my own, aren't you? She wasn't a good enough actress to sound convincing. She wasn't actually angry. She understood work. His eyes sparkled. I found a place with lots of Freddies. Etta didn't smile. Max pulled her into his arms. Since I met you, I haven't done 2 minutes of work. There are things I can do here. The hotel manager gave me the name of Miss Louise. You're going to see her. She pulled back to look at him. For what? A bath. Then getting some new clothes. You could come too. He shivered. I'd rather fight 100 rattlers than go shopping. I'll meet you at the station at 6. He released her, went to the door and opened it. A beautifully dressed, pretty young woman was standing there. She's going to take care of you, then she'll deliver you to the train station on time. He started to leave, but then closed the door halfway. Out of sight of the young woman, he mimicked Wyatt Earp's gesture of kissing his hand and sending the kiss her way. Smiling broadly, she caught it and put it to her lips. With a nod of satisfaction, he left the room. The young woman was looking at Etta with a forced smile, as though she was facing an impossible task. Some things never change, Etta thought. There was nothing more intimidating than a disparaging look that a saleswoman could give you. I am yours, she said, and they left together. That had been hours ago, and Etta had been washed, shampooed, manicured, and finally dressed. Miss Louise, a formidable woman, had held Etta's half corset between two thumbs. We shall burn everything. No, Etta said. Please, just clean them. Miss Louise obviously disapproved, but she had one of her many young workers take the clothes away. Wonder how much Max paid for all of this, she thought. When they got home, her father, Tobias, wouldn't like how much money they spent. He was a frugal man. Now it was nearly 6 and the train was there, ready to leave, but there was no sign of Max. Sometimes it seemed hard to believe that this was all just a dream. She was actually aware that it could disappear in a flash. When Max kissed her on the neck, she almost fainted in relief. She clung to him. It's all right, I'm here. He lifted her chin. Don't look so worried. You almost missed the train. She broke off to step away and look at him. You're still dirty. She sucked in her breath. You're not going back, are you? I am, but I can't go on the train. There's no place for the horses. He put out his hand to her, but she stepped back. You said we are going on the train. Us, both of us. I lied. I'm sorry. I didn't want you to fret. I wanted you to enjoy yourself. By the way, you look mighty nice. He paused. The horses can't take another trip like the last one. It would kill them. I'll take them back slowly. You really mean that I can't take the trip back? I was a nuisance to you, weren't I? Buffaloes and you washing my clothes and everything. Through her whole tirade, he not lost his smile. You know none of that is true, he said softly. You want to see what I did this afternoon? Etta was afraid that if she said more, she'd start bawling. She didn't want to be parted from him. No, the truth was that she was afraid of their being separated forever. He handed her a little wooden case. It was about the size of a playing card. She just stared at it. Go on, open it. Inside was a miniature painting of the two of them. He was looking forward while Etta was in profile, her eyes gazing up at him with love. How? Who? She whispered. When we rode in, I saw the old painter. I met him when I was a kid. I couldn't believe he was still alive. Anyway, I got him to do it. I described you to him, and I think he got you, didn't he? Sir, a porter said, the train is about to leave. He took away her cases. Max's hand closed over hers, the portrait between them. I sent a telegram, and Alice will meet you when you get there. Everything has been arranged. I'll arrive not long after. If the Cheyennes don't get me first, that is. She didn't smile at his joke. Come on, get on the train. Etta's mind suddenly seemed to come alert. She gave the portrait back to him. I can't take it with me. There was an urgency in her voice. You must hide it in your big desk. Don't just put it in a drawer, but build a secret place that no one will see for over 100 years. Max took her arm and led her to the train. No one will steal it. No, that's not the problem. Please hide it. You don't understand. I need it, and that's the only way. All right. He lifted her onto the train step. She turned to him as the train started to move. Promise me, swear it. Yes, I will do it. The train started and he walked beside it. I'll be there soon. As the train sped up, he stopped walking. Then again, did the blowing kiss. Etta caught it and put it to her lips. She watched until he was out of sight. Then she went into the train and sat down. I will not cry. I will not cry, she chanted to herself. She sat there looking out the window. The porter asked if he could get her anything. No, there was nothing she wanted. He told her that Max had paid him well to look after her, so if there was anything she needed, he'd get it for her. I like to live in my dream forever, she said. That's what we all want. Laughing, he left. The first stop wasn't far away. Etta was so forlorn that she didn't look out the window until the train was ready to start again. And that's when she saw Henry. He was standing on the platform, and at his feet was the paraphernalia of an artist. There was a folded easel and a wooden box with a handle. It was stained with paint. Etta had her nose almost to the glass, but when Henry looked toward the train, she fell back against the seat so he wouldn't see her. She stayed there until the carriage was far down the tracks. When the porter came by, she stopped him. There was a man on the platform. I think maybe he's an artist. That's Mr. Henry. He travels all over and paints things. Etta looked at him, waiting for more. There's a sad story about him. I don't know if it's true or not, but people say that when he was young, he built a big house for his beautiful wife, but she died right after. They say Henry shut the door to the house and never went back. He's traveled ever since. It was the story Max had told her. He'd met Henry, as had Alice. He painted a picture of my wife, the porter said. I like to see it sometimes. I'm never without it. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his watch, and opened it. Inside was a miniature of a very pretty woman. When Etta saw it, she thought her heart might stop. She'd seen the picture in one of the books Henry had written. It hadn't been a photo of an old painting, but something created for the book. Who illustrated them? She never read the credits. Her focus had been on Henry as the author. She looked at the portrait. What's his full name? Henry Fredericks. Etta just nodded. H.F. Logan. Henry Fredericks Logan. Thank you for showing me the picture. Your wife is lovely. Married 21 years, 3 girls, he said proudly. There was a noise at the other end of the carriage. Excuse me, ma'am. Yes, of course. As Etta watched the country outside pass by, she felt a deep loneliness. As she'd ever known anything in her life, she knew it was over. Rescuing a legendary man, then seeing Henry. Those 2 things were what really mattered. And now they were finished. When she and Max left home and everyone lined up to tell her goodbye, she had a premonition that she'd never see them again. All the friends she made, people she come to love, they would never return to her. She leaned against the window. It was growing dark outside. Max, she whispered, please come back to me. She fought sleep as long as she could, but it overwhelmed her. Suddenly, she knew she was in Henry's house. The dream was over. The dream is over, y'all. The dream is over. But it's a perfect time for it to be over, because she'd been in a dream for a long time. She learned some things, some very important things, and it's life-changing for her. So now that she's out of the dream, is she really in reality? We gonna have to find out, right? Because it seemed like it would be that she'll be back in reality, right? Because the reason why I'm a little hesitant about the reality part is Henry is in a book as himself, right? No, wait a minute. In the dream, he's the painter, but in reality, he's an author. I don't know. I'm just excited to see how it's going to go going forward now. Like, it's still going to be a love story because she's going to be looking for her Max. You hear me? She's going to be looking for her Max. Okay, so that's all I have to say. That's the end of this chapter, and I shall see you in the next chapter. Bye for now.